Yeah, hi everyone. March the 18th. It's exactly on my clock 1:11 p.m. That's exactly the time. I didn't notice that. I just happened to look at my screen and that's the time I started at. 1:11 p.m. here in Norway time. I tried to make two more videos over the last 2 days. Each time I finished, I felt they sucked. I felt they were just not useful and not worthy of posting. I was trying to do a new presentation on Spiritual Warfare 6, looking into where we were now, sort of a year after this has begun, and recognizing that not much has changed and not much is going to change, right? That this is going to, this is not going to be over very soon, if ever. You need to be prepared for that. This may not be over ever. But I couldn't come up with anything more of a presentation-wise for you, and I didn't like the rest of what I said, so I just kept deleting the videos. Then this morning I got an email from somebody who's been emailing me a bit back and forth, and the response I gave to her question I thought was useful for everybody, and so I'm going to present in a minute here the sort of the general question she presented to me, without, so you can't figure out who it was and what the question actually is, but you'll get the idea of it. And I'll read my response and then extrapolate a little bit more on it for you on why I said what I said. Yeah, I've been having a challenging week, for those who are wondering. I was in a horse accident on Sunday and injured my leg. It's not in tremendous pain, but it is causing weird unbalance in my system from the injury. It's very, very strange. And I'm trying to work with that. I get the sense I'm having, I told some of you this is a farm that has a very messy history in its past, with a lot of what you might call dark energy out here, and I think I'm dealing with that dark energy right now and not being aware and protected enough of it. And so I have some work to do to heal my leg and to find the right way to fit in here that helps and transforms this location, but doesn't have the location start attacking me. That's the best way of describing it. Some things are up now. You can see that the birth of Venus is on the wall there. I've got the Annunciation on the wall over there. The crystal rock thing came out of a box this morning, but it's obviously, I'm not putting it behind me on the couch while I'm sitting here, so you'll see it at some point when I get a new my new area set up. I think that's another thing. Because I don't have a comfortable area yet, a place where I feel a really good energy spot. It's hard to make the videos because I'm kind of like the space. I'm still kind of not fully settled. Anyway, point of the video. I've also done some interviews, by the way. I should let you know that before we get into this stuff. They'll be listed below. One was with, and because of my lack of time, I've been combining people who want to do interviews with me together. So this one was with Simon Laurie, a really interesting guy from Scotland, and Adam and his mother-in-law that they do this podcast with. And together it turned out to be an outstanding interview. It really worked well, having two different people asking questions with two different avenues, two different responses, two different everything. It actually created quite a useful discussion and information. So I think the interviews went well. So that's below. I'm doing another one just now in a few hours with Michael again over at Susquehanna Alchemy, and Emily. We're going to talk, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk about something. And so his link is below. I guess that'll be up in a few days. And I've got another one I'm doing Saturday, but I don't know where that's going to be, so I can't post a link to that yet. Okay. So the question I got was something like this. It was something like, this woman was very distraught, very emotionally spent at having tried to help her friends, help her family, help them to what she felt. How did she describe it? To be like, I better not say the specifics of it, but to be to give them what they needed to get through this period, to not wind up, let's say, just say becoming one of the zombies or dead or anything else. And she was kind of had sunk into a pretty deep pit because no one had listened to her, no one was doing anything that she's saying, and now she feels that they are on a path of, oblivion from the choices they've made. And that's put her into a very dark place and a very depressed place. And I thought this is something similar. A lot of people are going through this. You've been trying and trying and trying to help people, help the world, help whatever, and no one's paying attention to you. So, hi, Lunart. Hi, Lunart. You saying hi to the camera? You can say hi to the camera? Say hi to the camera? Buddy. Hi. Yeah. Oh, he's going to sit with me. Okay. You have a snooze while I talk. So she's in a really, really dark place because of how things went for her. And I'm sure she tried really, really hard with no response. And like I say, a lot of you are probably in the same feeling, in a similar place as her. So this was my response that I sent to her question. The problem is the Noah's Ark idea. Why do you need to save anyone, be it family or anyone for that matter? Has God made an error in how things are going and needs you to fix it? See how the mind plays with all these ideas without ever examining it and this reality any further? To also remind, everyone is going to die here, you and me too, either 20 years from now or next week. Nothing we can do can stop that from happening. Perhaps we can extend or shorten the timeline, perhaps not. We really have no idea how the record groove, how record groove like this reality may be. That, of course, does not mean you should not do your best, or be of value, or try to make a difference. Those are all key aspects of being human in this reality. The problem is to put outcomes on what we do. I will only be of value to people if X occurs. So if X doesn't happen, even though Y, Z, or A did, we can attack ourselves for being a failure. If you just choose to do what you feel compelled to do, the way you're compelled to do it, outcomes will just be outcomes. In theater jargon, play your role effectively and completely. The script is the script. That has nothing to do with you, just your own role within it. Everyone else gets the chance to play their roles, and those choices on how to play it lie with them. So you might say, be altruistically selfish. Do your best to be of help and of service, but don't be happy or sad with how things turned out. Only content that you did what you wanted to do, how you wanted to do it. Beyond that, it's all in God's hands. So, of course, it's linking into the free will story, which we've gone into quite a bit. But this idea of the need to fix the world, or the need to fix people, or the need to fix society, or whatever, that this place is wrong, and it needs to be fixed, and you are the one who's going to fix it. This is a mentality that comes over just about everybody who walks one form of the path one way or another. I went through it. We all go through this part, I think. I think it's difficult to avoid it. Hopefully it doesn't take people too long to realize that that is egoic nonsense. First of all, what's to say that this is wrong? I mean, it might be insane. And again, this is very clear that if you look at what a sane reality would be, this is not it. And it's not been it for a long time, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. We don't know why this was set up, what the purpose of this is at all, if there is any, what you might say the programmer was doing, what kind of experiment might be running in this program. We don't know any of this. We are just We are just narcissistically imposing our wants and wishes onto the dream, that the dream should be this. Reality should be this way. And because it's not, it's wrong. Because it's not doing what I want it to do, what I believe it's supposed to be, it's wrong. So just because it's insane doesn't mean it's wrong. And then there's the need to say, and I need to fix it, right? God made a mistake. God, the creator of this place, did it wrong, which might be true. We don't really know the details of the specifics of the creation, depending on whether you use a more religious term, whether you use a more Gnostic or ancient Egyptian term. All of these things depend very deeply on who they claim created this place and why and how it's functioning. But the point generally is the thinking that the creator was wrong and needs me to fix it. I'm the one that's going to fix all of the problems. And it's one of the things I really took from Richard Rose. I mean, you know, I've taken a lot of things from him, not because I've read stuff and want to believe what he says, but because he said things so clearly that matched my own experience and my own failures and challenges on the path, that explained those problems so clearly. That was like, I understand now because of what he said. And this is one of the things he was very clear on, that people were asking, why aren't you out trying to change the world? And he responded, people like Hitler and Stalin, they did their best to change the world and didn't really work out for them. They couldn't do it. So what makes you think you can or me can? This is the thing. At the highest level, there are people out there trying to coerce the dream to what they want, trying to force the dream to what they want, and it doesn't work that way. The dream, this reality, is a record groove. It's a computer program. It's like there is on some level a implanted story here. And while there may be multiple stories, and some of us with enough energy can move some of the stories a bit, perhaps, and alter things, make things a little bit this way, a little bit that way, bring more of this in, a little bit of that. You can't totally change the whole thing. And as long as you're focused on the need to change it, you have to change it. And if it doesn't change, it's your fault. That's the other one. There's no harm in wanting to change the dream or wanting to alter something or try to make something better in a way that you see it, that you think this could be. We do it all the time, right? I just put up a new bookshelf. I'm pretty happy that my boxes are emptied because I can get books on my shelf. But that doesn't mean that if the bookshelf didn't come and the books didn't go on the shelf, that things were wrong or I failed or things aren't the way they're supposed to be either. And that's the place we get caught. We get caught in the, I'm going to act, I'm going to do something, but if the action doesn't bring the specific result that I was trying to put the action in place for, then the action must be wrong. The action must be wrong, and it's my fault, right? It's always comes back to my fault that reality didn't change the way I wanted it to. And there's been a lot of this from all of these New Age type books and lectures and workshops, this idea that you control reality, you can change it the way you want, you can fix it, you can do this, you can just magically make it what you want. And on one level, there is some truth to that. On one level, there is some truth that reality responds to your intention. Reality responds to where you place your energy. Reality responds to how you act in a particular way. My horse riding accident was an extreme example of my own mental state about 10 minutes before or 5 minutes before I got on that horse and the resulting accident. There's no question there was a correlation. I was not in a good headspace, and I was in a place where I actually had already thought, I'm not stable here. I could probably get into an accident on this horse right now. I shouldn't do this, but I did anyway. I went against the thinking. And so in a sense, the thinking partially created reality. I would have had to have really overridden my mind in that moment, possibly, to really control it, or maybe it wouldn't have mattered. that I was getting on the horse and I was going to get this accident, and for some reason I'm going to learn something from this whole experience, that, taking me back to dealing with this farm, dealing with the negative and dark energy that's out here, dealing with the years of problems that I was working on transforming, and now maybe I'm going to have to examine all of this before I get in too deep and create a real problem. I got this one, which is, at this point, frustrating and annoying, but is not extremely harmful at least hopefully at this point. So again, the outcome, just because you get a bad outcome doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad result, right? Again, there's this idea that what's good, what's bad, you're only seeing things in the very short term. You're only seeing things, I wanted X and I got Y and I'm not happy, but perhaps 5 years from now, Y was actually a way better option for you than X. You just need the 5 years of time to see it. You need the 5 years of time to see it play out. Or yeah, maybe it is a worse result than the one you wanted, but that's what the dream calls for some reason. You can't override it. You see what I mean? It's also getting to understand this idea, this concept of betweenness that was in my last chapters coming in. How much of the dream can you control? And remember, we can't force mountains to move if the mountains don't want to move. If the mountains want to stay, the mountains will stay. If the tree wants to be a tree, it doesn't matter how much mental energy we push to try to make the tree something else, it's going to be a tree. It's only if the tree is also in deciding, yeah, I'd like to have this too, I'd like to do this too. Now together, you're doing something. So we take this back to this woman's question. She's trying to, in one sense, force her will on her family and her friends. And it's very altruistic what she's doing. She's obviously, I don't think any of us watching this channel would probably disagree with her wishes and her wants for having an idea of where we are and what's coming up and how bad things are going to get. And like, hey, I'd like the people in my life to avoid the crap that's going to come to them potentially if they just make a few changes now and get up to date. But if they don't want to do it, if that's where they want to be, if that's where the download and the hypnosis and the magic spell is right now, it just doesn't matter how much you want or how much you would need to have such an unbelievable amount of energy to make these kind of changes. Like you would have to actually be, you'd actually have to be a wizard. You'd actually have to be a true shaman. You'd actually have to be a true ancient Egyptian priest to be able to make those kind of changes on people who don't want to change. That's a standard of relationships, right? The wife or husband doesn't like something the way the relationship is. The problem is with the other person, and they're going to fix it. If they just fix the other person and make the other person act differently, it will all be fine. And of course, they don't act differently. They don't change. They're not going to just change because you're forcing them to change because you want them to be different. It have to become a whole new symbiotic relationship. And that doesn't mean don't make an effort, don't try to think if you're going to improve something in your life or other people's lives. Of course. Why am I making these videos? I'm assuming that maybe something in what I say, some people are going to be helped by that. I know a lot of people aren't. I know my only hope is that nothing in these videos makes anything worse for anybody. That's the only concern I have. That as long as it doesn't hurt other people, then I'm okay with it. It doesn't matter that 100 people watch this and maybe 2 people take something from it and say, yeah, I understand, that's great, this is going to be helpful for me, and 98 people go, yeah, well, whatever. Almost a waste of my time. I guess some people think I have a somewhat soothing voice sometimes when I talk, so okay, they got the soothing, calm voice, but nothing else. And that's okay. I've had to learn the hard way to not be stuck on outcomes, to not be stuck on the end result being the whole reason for acting. This takes us back, if you remember, chapter 5 of my book that I'm reading, where I'm talking about acting for the sake of acting. And this is one of those reasons why you have to go through that exercise of doing really stupid actions that have no possible reason for doing them. Bringing the rocks to your front lawn and then bringing them all back to the river, taking all the dishes in your car for a drive around the block. Like, just the most stupid actions, because it's bringing you, those are the exercises that are helping me now. They're helping me because I had to break some of that. I haven't broken all of it, of course, but broke some of the way that the egoic mind thinks. Was I'm only going to do an action if there's something in it for me, or the world is going to become the way I want it to become. Someone's going to change. Someone's going to do whatever the way I want it to be, which is, in a sense, your actions are an attempted form of manipulation with reality. As opposed to, again, I'm just acting like an actor on a stage. I'm being called to be this way, to do this thing, to make this conversation, to talk to these people, and how it goes is God's will. It's not my will. I'm just following a script, and the script will then continue as it's supposed to go on the other side. I've done my role. The role called me to do this, and I felt compelled to do it, so I do it. How it goes after that is not up to me, right? It's not up to me at all. And as long as you can step back from this and act without expecting rewards, act without, how does it say it in the Bhagavad Gita? Act, but don't reflect on the fruit of the act, or something like that. I think that's how somebody can correct me if it's wrong. But it's something like that. It's reminding you to act, to not just sit still. That's not what you're supposed to do. Or maybe it is, right? Maybe the action you're supposed to take is no action, but whatever action you take is just the action of an actor. And after that point, the play will go on as the play goes on. If you've played your part properly, if you've done your job, there's no more you need to do. However things turn out then, or how they turn out. And you have no regrets. You can have no regrets then, because you know, I did what I was supposed to do. I'm not in charge of the outcome. I'm only in charge of my role. Did I play my role properly? Did I do what I felt compelled to do? And if you've done that, you can rest assured that the rest of it is not in your hands, so to speak. On another level, it is, because there's only one here, but without getting into details of absolute and how that works. Just from a fairly awake human perspective, if you're caught up in the fruit of your actions, if you're caught up in how things are going to play out, and that only one result is worthy of your actions, or worthy of the value of your actions, you're going to be disappointed, and you're going to be depressed, and you're going to be sad, and you're going to be upset again and again and again. When reality doesn't do what you want it to do, when people don't do what you want them to do, when your pets and your animals and your cats and dogs don't do what you want them to do, you're going to be disappointed. So if you want to be able to stay aware, act, and then allow the action to just ripple out on its own. You throw the rock in the water, you're not the one that's going to follow the ripples and make sure every ripple does what you want it to do. The ripples will move out on their own. So I made this video partially as a more detailed explanation for the email that I sent earlier, and partially because it gives all of you now a chance to discuss this with each other. Discuss how, because I get the sense she's not the only one going through something like this. A lot of you are going through it as well. So it's an opportunity to discuss it amongst yourselves, to see if there's a better way of presenting what I've just said, and maybe come up with a more clear presentation. But that's the best of the rambling I could come up with today, and this one at least feels like a keeper. So I think this one is going to be posted just before I do my interview. I'll post this up, and we will see what kind of response we get. So interview links are below. You can check those out. Thanks for all the support, for the patience, of course, as I'm going through the change here and dealing with this very insane reality, dealing with how reality is shifting so quickly, and again, with my having no control over it, it's going how it goes. All I can do is respond and react to the increased insanity, and it's going to get worse. Mark, rest assured, this is not going to get better. 3 months from now, the world's not going to be in a better place. I hate to be the one to tell you that. It's not. This is going downhill really, really quickly because humans are so zombieified, so controlled, so manipulated, so under the magic spell that it's almost getting to the tipping point where I'm not sure if they can be flipped at this point. I don't know. It would take quite a big thing, quite a big event, quite a big charge, not just energetically, but in the standpoint of a worldwide experience to really shake a lot of people out of what's been going on. At some point, I think more people will figure it out, but it might be too late to do anything by that point. We will see. I'm not giving up hope, but I'm not holding on to hope either. I'm staying somewhere in between all of it, seeing which way this reality and people move. So yeah, thanks for the support during all this, because it's quite challenging for me. Of course, now this goofball injury, this is causing me, it's not painful, it's like right now it's annoying, and it's got my energetic system out of whack a little bit. So I'm working with that and trying to settle into the new place and try to find a new rhythm. And I want to finish the Rennes Le Chateau series. I want to finish reading the book, which I plan to do by the end of this month. So by Easter, by April 1st, first week, we're done with all of that. And then I kind of want to go in a new direction. I want to keep, if I'm keeping posting past that into April, it's like I want to go now with something really different, really useful, really valuable, rather than just giving you videos to just give you videos or keep doing the same thing again and again and again. That annoys me with the channels that have been, in many cases, really, really good, and they've presented a lot of really good stuff, but then it's like they reached a point where, and that's enough. There's no more of that you can give. Either bring us something new, or it's time to stop. And I feel that's where I'm going to be in April, and I'm going to have to really recognize that where I've been, I think I've reached that point of providing enough, and I've either got to make some changes and go in a little new direction so the stuff is new and different and fresh and a new angle on something, or it'll be time to stop. So I will see where we head once I finish the rest of the videos that have to come up. So yeah, thanks for the donations, the book purchases, the nice comments. Again, I don't respond to many of them. I don't have a lot of time, but I generally tend to read them, and even if I just skim read them, I do appreciate them, and I do like a lot of what you present. And hopefully, again, now this video is an opportunity for a lot of you to discuss this together and discuss what I've just said of, how much do you really control reality? How much do you want to control reality? That's also a point of this. How much do you need to control reality? These are all things to really have to look at internally and determine what's true and where we are. So we will see you in a few days with one of the next series, whether it's the book or the Rennes Le Chateau story, and we will see you then. Cheers.